Who's in here? I'd like to say hello to you. Hello, Education 15. I see Marquita R20. I see Kenneth Knoll. I see Trey Fisher. I see Ryan Booker Music. I see Eldon Moore. I see Kenneth Woodard. I see I Am Telefero. I see a Aja Monroe. Hello from Grand Rapids. I see Candace. Hey, thank you. Thank you so much. I see hello from Detroit. New member, good. Welcome. I see Tiffany Jordan. I see Nicole Deshera. I see Ace for Graphics. Thank you. Thank you. Bless you as well, Ryan. I see Scarlett V. Crunks of ATL. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I see somebody from Bolingbrook out here. Jasmine from Dallas. Night Brand, I've been thinking about you quite a bit. I've been thinking about you a lot. You've been popping up a lot of different places, but you've been around. Married with Goals, hello, hello. Scope Temple is in the house. Listen, did you miss me? I know I have been away for quite some time, and I haven't really spent any significant time with you. I've had a lot going on, so I wanted to thank all of you for, yes, celebrating my 21st birthday with me. It was a tremendous, tremendous birthday. And it has been awesome. It's been something that I got a lot of insight from the Lord about. He talked to me quite a bit about what he wanted for my life. Let me tell you something. If you have never experienced how many times have I turned 21, who was at Emory, none of you been I will turn 21 until the Lord say differently. But listen, if you have never experienced what it is to have the Lord talk to you about what he wanted from and out of your life, it is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. And he did just that. And gave me some perspective and gave me some very strong insights about what he's yet got planned for me. And one of the things that the Lord shared with me, let me share this with you. Revolving floor, look at there. The Lord sure does work. One of the things that the Lord shared with me as an insight for winning as it pertains to my destiny, I'm going to actually share it with you because I think it will bless you. I think it will bless you. So I'm actually going to share with you one of those insights, and then I'm going to give you a brief teaching or a brief rant or whatever you're going to call it on evaluating friendships. That is something that I think we don't do enough of, and it is something that I don't think we have a premise to do, but I want to help you. My t-shirt game, yes, this says Legends Are Born in July. So shout out to all of you that were born during the month of perfection and completion. God bless you. We are the special ones on the planet. Anywho, one of the things that the Lord shared with me, and I'm calling this birthday insight, yesterday is, and this is unique, but this is what one of the things he told me yesterday was that if I was going to win and if I was going to do well in my life assignment, that I was going to have to be much more assertive and much more deliberate about mastering pain. That's right. The Spirit of God spoke to me, and he told me that a lot of the people that he had his hands on and a lot of the people that he had intended to use ended up opting out, not necessarily because of what happened to them, not necessarily because of what people said about them, but because of the effects and the pain of what's being said. He further went on to explain to me that nothing that a person says has the ability to break a person in their assignment, but it's all about what you feel about what is said and I want to use the word incubation of the pain that comes from that. And so the Spirit of God spoke to me concerning the rest of my life that I would have to learn the proper placement of pain. And to experience pain is not abnormal, but it is learning where to put it and how to make it useful that makes you unstoppable. He explained to me that because of what he had called me to do, that he wanted to give me a vision to be unstoppable. And so I needed to learn to be sensitive enough to him to learn the appropriate placement of pain. And what that looks like is learning to make it useful, learning when to internalize, learning when to externalize, internalize. He also spoke to me about making it something that I pull energy from. For example, I was thinking into this as he was talking to me yesterday, and one of the things that I realized is that, what everybody is called by God to do comes with a measure of discomfort and comes with a measure of pain. It is not always inappropriate, or it is not always excruciating, but there is pain that comes with everything you say yes to in God. But what hit me so hard yesterday, and I'm going to leave you with this and then go into my rant. What hit me so profusely yesterday was that the pain of watching things remain how they are is far more excruciating than the pain of having to do what you've been called by God to do. I'm going to say that again. The pain of having to watch things remain as they are. Life, the world, the kingdom, the church, families, the condition of cities, all of that, the state of the church, the pain of watching all of that remain how it is far more excruciating than the pain of having to face what you need to face to mature enough to handle your life mandate. So that really, really, really hit me. I would rather go through and undergo the things that are needful for my development than sit and be absolutely drained and be absolutely, I don't know the world, brutalized by the reality that things around me are not changing. So that's what the Father spoke to me yesterday, is he wanted to make me unstoppable, and he had a lot of things for me to do, some of which he told me he hadn't even begun to share. And so because of that, he wanted me to learn now how to deal with pain and how to have perspective about pain, painful experiences, painful circumstances, and how to use it to my advantage and also to the advantage of others, and not allow pain to be an indicator of when you should stop or when you should quit. Only those of us that are called to do things beyond or above ourselves can understand why that's significant to know. But that's what God gave me yesterday, was if you're going to go all the way with me, I've got to teach you now how to quarantine pain, express it healthily, get use of it, make it an energy source, but refuse to allow your life, your love, your pursuits, your passions to be sculpted by the unfortunate effects of a painful experience. So that was a part of my birthday insight. I can't share with you a lot of the other things he shared with me. They are personal, and I don't preach everything that the Lord deals with me about, which is a major mistake of a lot of preachers. But God speaks to me and gives me lessons for my life that I don't always give people. It's some things that he just lets me know, and I bring others into the overflow. So that's just insight, birthday insights. I'm going to give you really quickly some insights about why it's needful to evaluate friendships. Let me ask you a very, very important question. How many of you are struggling in the subject of friendship? Give me a hand emoji if you are struggling or having difficulty with the subject of friendship. If it has been a complicated issue, if it has been a complex, okay, good. Okay, some of you are in one-sided relationships where it seems as if you are more effortful in them and the others are not reciprocated, or others of you start relationships and they never really mature, or they don't grow, or they end up ending brutally, or how many of you are experiencing that? Okay. They don't understand the call at times. Awesome. Listen, what I'm learning is that Christians generally do friendship wrong, and Christians in general are very, very, very brute when it comes to the right approach to friendship. And there's a lot of things that I could offer and a lot of insights that I could give you in the name of building healthy friendships and in the name of evaluating healthy friendships. But there's a couple of things that I need you to believe about it before I teach you how to evaluate and assess them. First of all, many of you that are watching me are women. You're females, right? And most of you would not purchase a pair of shoes that you couldn't try on. Many of you would not go to a new restaurant that you hadn't had a recommendation on. I think we are way too risky. Now there is some safe risks, but I think we are way too casual with exploring people for friendship compatibility. And when I say friendship compatibility, I don't mean that you have to be friends with people who are exactly the same as you are, but I do think that there is a level of compatibility. We need to make sure that we can handle each other's personality, each other's dysfunctions, each other's character, each other's communication style, etc. So it's compatible, and that's not an issue of wickedness or sin. It's not an issue of right or wrong. It's just sometimes an issue of compatibility. And what we've got to stop behaving like is that if we're not friends, we don't love each other. I love a lot of people that I would never approach in the context of friendship. There are some people that I love hard that I would never in my life befriend. So we've got to stop allowing the pressures of our society to inflict upon us the belief that, if you two love each other, then it means you got to be friends. And because it's not exactly true. I think that you should test friends like you test spouses. And I don't mean manipulatively. I don't mean psychologically. I don't mean in some soulish emotional game. I think that there should be a courtship period before you make a conscious effort to make somebody a friend. A sign of immaturity is using the designation friend prematurely. Again, a sign of immaturity is the tendency, the habit of prematurely giving the designation of a friend. And when you do that, you end up disappointing yourself because of a premature designation that a person was not able to relationally, spiritually, whatever, live up to. So the real truth is, many of you in here are hurting from friendships, and it's your own fault. You gave definition to a relationship that was yet to prove itself. So we don't believe in just allowing people to invest in and allow people to intrude the obligation of friendship before you have had the opportunity to allow the relationship to define itself. And once you've noticed that the relationship starts to take on a ministry sense or a friendship sense or a community sense, then you define it. You have a conversation, and you don't talk around the issue. Hey, what are we doing? Are we friends? What does that look like for you? What is some of us don't ask enough questions to consider a person a real friend. Like if you are in a friendship and you've never asked the person, how am I doing as a friend to you? Or there's no room for the other person to communicate how they're doing as a friend to you. Or even, what is your definition? Another major hindrance to effective friendships is we tend to assume that we all have the same definition of friendship. We all approach relationships with the language of our lives, and not just the language of our lives, but also the definition of our lives. So what a friend is to me may not be a friend to you, and what a friend is to you may not be a friend to the next person, etc., etc. So it's really irresponsible to call yourself committing to a friendship and without the opportunity to explore, to engage, and to converse about what that actually looks like in the context of the person that you're engaging with. So that's really important that you've got to understand. Don't assume it. Let it define itself, and then you confirm, you reinforce, you align that relationship and your expectations with the definitions given. Many of you have expectations that are beyond the definition you gave for the relationship or for the interactions. What you need to do is allow your expectations to be accountable to the definitions that you mutually gave the relationship. So I really hope that you get that, and I hope that you understand that, okay? Another thing that you've got to realize about friendships, and this is all me just doing kind of precursory work before I give you some coaching in this area, is that you've got to resolve that you need them. What I find, and this is a strong bondage that I know oh so well, because over 15 or so years ago, let me not even be that generous, maybe even about 10, 12 years ago, I was one of you. I was one of you, dysfunctional, dreaming, praying, prophesying, traveling, writing, collegiate level black man that was in pursuit of success and acclaim and didn't really feel like friendship was a necessity. And of course, being an intellectual, I was able to justify and rationalize how and why I could exist without it. How and why I could go without it, how and why I would not suffer without it. Let me tell you something about deception. The worst type of deception is what the New Testament calls self-deception. That type of deception does not come from the enemy, from the adversary. The worst type of deception is what the Bible calls a deception of your own heart. Now, let me pull out of there before I get stirred up. That's something we need to talk about more, especially right now in America, is deception. But anyway, so yes, I was in self-deception. I convinced myself that there was life without friendships, and there was life above friendships, and that there was assignments that could be achieved and potential to be reached. And I believed all of that. And then, with us, gifted people, we deep, and God speaks to us, and we hear the voice of the Lord through open eye visions and all of this stuff. So we really think that our callings, have isolated us. Now notice my use of the term isolation, because I do believe your calling and your designation in the kingdom may separate you, but to be separate is not always to be isolated. There is a very broad difference, and I want you to understand that. So I went into that vein. It's because of my walk. I'm called to the valley. I'm called to the caves. Everybody can't handle it. Everybody can't walk with it. But then I started running into more and more scriptures, right, that actually rebuked the notion that you could be a saved, sanctified, delivered, healthy, whole, mature, accountable, integral, responsible loner. And logistically speaking, I couldn't really get enough scripture to combat that. And all of the ones that people equally as bound as me were using were scriptures about people in exile, when they use Old Testament examples of prophets that had to roam the streets and live in caves and all of that stuff, and so I was there. But I kept running into the fact that not only was God into people, he was also into making people be into people. Not everybody, but somebody. And so it was a very scriptural thing, an extremely biblical concept, that God calls you, God ordains you, he anoints you, he perfects you through the power of your community. And through the power of those he assigns you to. And so I got a lot of deliverance when I resolved that being alone and living alone and thinking alone and all of that was not God's best for my life. Now I'm going to show you why this is confusing for a lot of you, because a lot of you are like, well, I'm still anointed. When I preach, the power of God comes. Or when I give people prophecies, they're accurate. Or when I, reach for my harmonica and sing and, and all of that stuff, it works. And this is why I feel like it's so important that gifted people be around leaders and be around counsel that's not impressed, intrigued, enamored, or infatuated with their gifts. Because sometimes giftedness is a dynamic distraction from the real condition of a person's soul and a person's maturity. Your gift working and your gift working effectively has nothing to do with the type of person you are, how you do in relationships. It has nothing to do with that. I was prophesying and going to nation and pretty much was alone. And the worst part was okay with being that way. That's the worst part. So I hit a point where I came to the resolve, through the help of the Holy Ghost and my wife, that was not a good spot to be in. It was really dangerous. It was something that you should never desire to be in your life. And so I started being open to developing new friendships. Now, as you would imagine, it was a very difficult journey. You try some, you learn some, you commit to some, you change your mind about. So it's a very speckled journey. And then you've got, depending upon what you do in life, your profession, your career, your whatever, that also complicates your ability to transparently invest yourself in relationships, because sometimes who you are and what you do may change the rules of relationship and the rules of the game. So I get our difficulty. I truly understand our difficulty, right? But the difficulty in the issue does not excuse you from your need of them. Do me a favor, if you have not already shared this, go ahead and share this, because now I'm going to give you some insights on how to evaluate friendships, okay? So let's do that. Thank you so very much. I need some more followers on here. Let's see if we can get the subject of friends trending. Now, so if I can get you to believe that friendship is a necessity to you, and if your heart is open to understanding that, then I can teach you how to do it the right way, how to receive from it the right way, and how to test, how to measure what's going on around you, and if the stuff you're entertaining is a real friendship or not. That's important. Let me give you this last little thing before I start giving you my evaluation things. Thank you for the hearts, by the way. If you believe that you, as a believer in worship, is being taught by the Holy Spirit and by His Word to relate to God in friendship, to become a friend of God. We are His sons, we are His creators, but worship also reveals a measure of friendship with the Spirit of God. I don't know how you intend to perfect that and master that when that's the only real relationship you're open to. It is who and how you are across the board that does affect your walk with God. Many people think when it comes to me and God, like for example, if you are a bad communicator, like you have trouble expressing yourself, you're not really honest with people about how you feel and where you are, I find it extremely laughable to believe, or comical to believe, that you have a strong prayer life. You may have a regular prayer life, but I have a lot of difficulty believing that if you don't speak up for yourself, you're not transparent, you're not open, and I'm not talking about with everybody, even a few, about how you feel or what's going on in your life, if you're so secretive, if you spend more energy with keeping people out of your business than actually paying attention to what your business actually is. I'm not convinced that you are effective in the place of prayer, because we relate to God relationally. And so if you are not invested in relationship as a subject matter, you are probably failing with your religious self in your relationship with the Lord, particularly if it's not growing in intimacy and transparency and communication, if it's not growing in worship, etc., etc. You're not doing good between you and God if you're not doing good when you're in relationships. So, yeah, that's that. So you need them. And when you have friends, those friends, wherever they are, however they get in your life, if they're godly, your friends have a ministry to you. There is a ministry of friendship. Now, I call it a ministry of friendship because ministry is service. Ministry is service. Your friends, hopefully, particularly the right ones, when they are assigned to your life, right? They have a godly commitment to you and a godly responsibility to your well-being, to your maturity, to your potential. You should not be a person, for example, that say you have friends and you are not moving in the direction of your potential. I want you to think about that. If you are stagnant, if you are stuck, if you are beyond changing, if you are beyond evolving, not only do you have a problem, if your friends are silent on the matter, I would probably say they're less than quality friends. The book of Ecclesiastes gives us an amazing template for the ministry of friendship, and it is this. The Bible says, two are better than one. We strictly make that about romantic interest, and the Bible doesn't specify that that principle is about that, right? It says, if one falls down, how can he lift himself up if there be no one there to help him? So we've got a couple of issues here to work with. Number one, the whole objective of relating in a friendship type of way centers around the word better. Better. B-E-T-T-E-R. Two are better than one, right? So what that looks like is that if somebody is being added to your life, the idea is that you should become better as whatever you are, in whatever roles you play, and whatever your particular life's assignment is, what all of that stuff, right? Two are better than one. So the first basis of being able to interact in the ministry of friendship is, what about me? What about you? What about us promotes better? Better. That means there is a dynamic of upgrade that should be produced in your life when you engage in friendship. Am I a better man because of you, or with your aid, or with your presence, or with your eyes? Do I make better decisions? Do I make better judgment? Am I better focused? Am I whatever? But if better is not the basis of the relationship, then you've got a leech. A lot of what you're calling friendships are actually mutually dysfunctional attachments where I have a weakness, you have a weakness. So what we do is we come together to facilitate each other's needs from the point of our wounding and our brokenness and our That's why a lot of you like the people you like, even romantically. It's a dysfunctional system of cohabitation. It's really weird, where we get together on the basis of our weakness. If you get together on the basis of your weakness, then what you don't have is friendship. You've got a snare. Again, if you get together, you attach, you associate, you relate on the basis of your weakness, you don't have a friendship. You've got a snare. So it's something you got to realize. God would never send anybody to your life to make you worse than what you are. And sometimes being like you makes you worse. Let's move on, because the saints don't like that type of teaching. Two are better than one. If one falls. So principle number 2 is that the basis of a friendship should be protection from a fall. So not only is better the basis of our relating and our relationship and the revelation behind why we are necessary in each other's lives, then you being in my life and me being in your life and us relating as a community should be a preventative mechanism from a fall and from failure. From a fall and from failure. This scripture shows that if one falls, which means in the mind of the Bible writers, the basis of friendship was to prevent you from making unnecessary falls. Now, will you fall? Probably. Will you fail at times? Probably. But when the ministry of friendship is active in your life, you are less likely to make falls, to fail romantically, to fail your walk with God, to fail your purpose, to fail your assignment, to fail your children. If you have friends and they finance your fall, they promote your fall, they encourage your fall, they incite your fall, they authorize your fall, or even worse, they turn their head when you're about to fall, you don't have friends. You don't have friends. For example, if I am an addict of any sort, of any kind, on any level, right? It's kind of dark in here. I need to see y'all. Oh, that's kind of bright. If I am an addict of any sort, on any level, of any kind, okay? I should not have access to any relationship that would agree with my addiction. And I don't know many addictions that are not destructive. If I'm an addict of any kind, weed, sex, alcohol, complaining, I don't know, whatever people are addicted to these days, and I can call you, text you, tweet you, Instagram you, and can get away with being a slave in and around you, then you're not a friend to me. What you are is a resource, a relational resource from hell. Hell knows the power of relationship. I tell you guys this over and over and over again. I believe Satan watched as the father and son interacted. I believe Satan watched as God and Adam interacted in the garden. And I believe in the Garden of Eden, one of the things he made up his mind to do was to forever perpetuate the power that is invested in relationship. Humans know the power of relating. Think about every destructive network on the planet. They do it by the power and by the influence of relating and relationship. Whether this is gangbangers, whether it's terrorists, whether it's sexually addicted communities, whatever it is, they all do it by friendships. Friendships recruit, friendships release. It's all the power of friendship. It's just perverted in its particular way. And so hell does know the power of relationship and will use it against you if you allow it. So again, if you are not preventatively and aggressively concerned about the behaviors, the tendencies, the things about me, in me, around me that could constitute a fall, you're probably not a friend. Or if you are, you're not doing friendship the right way. So that's very, very, very important. And it's one of the things you need to evaluate in your life. A good friend won't let you fall. And if what you want, because a lot of people approach friendship from the basis of their own dysfunction. Like, for example, if you want is for people to be silent, to be muzzled, to turn their eyes so you can fall, then you're actually not ready for friendship yourself. See, what you want is support. What you want is agreement. Now, here's what I'm going to do. This is going to be a friendship tip, a church growth tip, a parenting tip. I'm about to bless your life if you pay attention. In the context of relationships and what people need acceptance. Okay, I want to let that really gain some room in you. They need acceptance. They do. We all need acceptance. Every one of us needs acceptance. There is not a person in the planet that does not need acceptance. And if you don't think you need acceptance, you are mentally delusional, deranged. Now, what we don't need, what we can live without, and what we're not obligated to give is agreement. Agreement. The problem with the church, and why many of your churches will never grow, is because you've not put enough effort into accepting people that you don't agree with. You are not intelligent enough to differentiate the difference between acceptance and agreement. In a marriage, you need acceptance. We accept one another. I accept you based upon who God called you to be. It does not mean I have to agree with you. We accept. Let's see. The problem with the church is we're real hypocritical about who we choose to accept. What we need to do is distinguish that we really do accept everybody. We just don't agree. And we can't make agreement a part of acceptance. You accept people based upon who, how, and what God made them to be. It does not mean that you have got to agree with all of the decisions that they make. That's the problem. In your relationships, in your friendships, if they are real, if they are healthy, and if they are true, y'all not going to always agree. You will see things differently. You will experience things differently. You will have different thoughts on things, but it doesn't mean that we don't have to accept one another because we don't agree. So there is a difference between acceptance and agreement. I believe, to be very frank and brutal, and some of you are not going to like this, the reason the church, the African American church in particular, lost the homosexual community in America is because of that one principle. We're fighting oh so hard and oh so long to prove that we will not accept it, when we should have been just saying we don't agree, but you're definitely welcome here. And our failure to do that has made them develop entire denominations and entire groups and entire communities because they're looking for acceptance. I think we need to do a better job at theologically teaching the difference. And I'll pull out of there because I don't want to upset you unnecessarily. I need to upset you for the stuff you need to be upset about. So yeah, that's the challenge there. There's a difference between acceptance and agreement. We accept everybody at my church. We don't agree with everything that they do. We don't agree. We accept them 100%. That's what you've got to know. And so many of you, what you're calling friendship is support for reckless decision making. I need somebody that's going to have my back and be in my corner. What you're saying is don't disagree. Don't disagree. Let me love who I want, do what I want, go what I want, think what I want, blah, 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 blah. So somebody says the problem with that group is that they are not accepting of our Bible belief. Brilliant Sapphire, let me help you with something, sweetheart. Most of the Christians you know ain't accepting of the Bible. Unless you go to a church that got all 5 ministry gifts, that refuses to use pagan Roman Catholic Church government to govern people, that has all of the saints casting out devils and doing miracles and greater works of Jesus, you don't know a Christian that's believing in the total Bible. The problem is we're hypocritical in what we choose to highlight and alienate. So it's not just that gay people don't believe in the Bible. Most church people you know don't believe in the Bible. And if you disagree, go and shake hands with somebody called Reverend. Do you understand me? So this is not about people not believing in the Bible, although it may be true. There's a lot of people you know don't believe in the Bible. The fact that you got people with pastoral gifts starting churches proves that they don't believe in the Bible. So if we're going to have the Bible discussion, we've got to go from Genesis to Revelation. So yeah. Where was I? Yeah, people don't have to agree all the time to walk together and to be there, you know. I'm talking about balance and things. No, there's no need to have a balance in the Great Commission, sweetheart. So unless every Christian you know cast out devils, speak in tongues, lay hands on the sick, we are all failing Christianity a lot miserably. That is an extreme. I don't know that it's an extreme that gays don't believe in the Bible. I think it's an extreme that Christians don't live up to the Great Commission. That's extreme to me. People ain't just start being gay. They were gay in the Old Testament. Male prostitutes. Ashtoreth demanded them. It was an Old Testament deity that demanded male prostitution in the temple. What I think is the greatest problem is Christians that are not Christians. That, beloved, is extreme. Sin's nature is sin nature. Sin is not new. What's new is Christians customizing Christianity to fit their culture or their denomination, even worse. So, yeah, if I can use you and if I can pull on you to finance my fall, then you're not a friend of mine or a friend for me. So that's really important for you to realize. So on the basis of your evaluating friendships, you've got to look at what the scriptures teach friendship should do. We learn that they should make you better. We learn that they should lift you from a fall. But the Bible also says, if one is cold, how will they keep warm? I think that here was one of my rules of friendship. If I have to wonder, guess, if I have to assume, if I have to be curious about whether or not you want to be me, then it's going to affect whether or not I can be transparent with you in friendship. And what that looks like is this. When you try to befriend and you try to relate to somebody in a friendship way who is so enamored, infatuated with you to the extent that they find it hard to celebrate you, they're not going to be there to legitimately support you in a moment of weakness. I have had to dismiss several friends, or so I thought, because of their inability to recognize that I was me and they were them. It's a very interesting thing. You cannot effectively befriend people that want to be you, because what they're going to do is they're going to forever question, they're going to forever wonder, they're going to forever try to criticize everything good that happens in your world, and then they'll even go internal. What they'll do is they'll go internal and start thinking, well, why isn't it me? How did you get married before me? How did you get this before me? How did you blah, 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 blah? That's very important for you to realize. So when a person wants to be you, they're not going to necessarily be there to support you. And some of them may actually get satisfaction off of seeing you in a weak, lonely, or cold spot in life. They may actually get great fulfillment, and they may actually get great joy out of seeing that you've had a relationship go wrong, or you've got fired from a job, or you finally showed a human moment. That is a necessary basis of evaluating friendship. Do you want to be me? Because if you want to be me, then that envy is not going to necessarily be cute after a while. Over time, it's going to be dangerous. It's going to ruin their ability to really interact with you. It's going to ruin their ability to be healthily postured when you need them through a weak moment. So that's very important that you realize. You never want to befriend somebody like that, or you never want to befriend somebody or allow somebody to befriend you who benefits strictly, solely by what you have. Because we are not friends on the basis of what we have. We are friends on the basis of who we are. There's a lot of people that are friends on the basis of what they have. What up, bro? What up, bro? What up, bro? That crap irritates me to the death, especially by people that I don't know. I mean, it gets under my skin. You know, people treat relationships so casually and so lightly in this day, and it's almost like the first thing there at the outset is you got to assume, what do you want? Now, I'm probably going to lose my card for saying it, but you got to assume it. What do you want? What do you want? You didn't just bypass all of the normal healthy process of friendship straight to bro mode. We don't even know each other. What's my favorite color? You see what I'm saying? So my point is that when you engage with each other off of any basis other than who we are, it's going to be difficult to say you're in a friendship, and it's going to be easy to relate on the basis of what we have. And to me, that's not real friendship, because what we have will change. What we have will vary. What we have won't be the same season to season. Basically, what you're sharing with me and basically what you're teaching me is I can expect your support. I can expect your consistency. I can expect your continuity. I can expect your communication when I have what brought you to me or what sparked you to be a part of my space, right? But should that leave and should that go, or should that become a variable that changes, or any of that, then I should not expect you to be consistent or to be around or to be a friend. You got to evaluate that. Another thing in evaluating friendships is, and this is a very important one that I need you to know. Can I trust what you would say about me when you're not around me? Can I trust that you would have a healthy rapport when you're not in my, would I be shocked to learn or to find out that you or people with you had a conversation that demeaned me, that defamed me, and not to my defense? That's a very important thing to consider. Do I trust what you would say when I'm not around? Even if it's right. For example, somebody comes up to a friend of yours and says, oh, I think so-and-so has a bad attitude. You may know that to be true. But their attitude is one of the reasons why you're in their lives. And so it would make no sense to agree with an adversary and to support an adversary or somebody that has postured themselves adversarially speaking to a person you're supposed to be friends with. Yeah, my response would be, yeah, he got an attitude, he crazy, but I love him. Shut the door. Close the conversation. If people who can't stand me are extremely comfortable with routinely expressing to you how much they can't stand me, my next question is going to be, why are they that comfortable with you? And then my next assumption is going to be, how much of what they're saying do you agree with? It's the basis for a sniper. It's very important to consider. There are some individuals that were around my space that I couldn't verify. I wasn't confident in what they would say when they wasn't in my presence, so I just outgrew them, outgrew the involvements. And there are others that I've been blessed with now that I know. Even if it was something that's true, you know, they're not going to allow people to beastly ravage my name or anything like that. Not in be real friendship. So that's very important for you to realize as well. Another thing that you want to evaluate is whether or not the relationship is two-sided. It's two-sided. What I find in a lot of friendships, and I'm using that term very generously, is that they often are not equally as committed to. For example, in evaluating your friendships, do you consider how much effort you're putting in versus how much effort the other person is putting in? Stuff like that may be minuscule, but it's actually very important. If you're the only one reaching, if you're the only one talking, if you're the only one concerned, if you're the only one, you know, buying things and making financial investment and making time investment or asking critical questions, and you don't talk. Like, I got some people that probably would have said we were friends, but I know for a fact if I don't call or if I don't talk to them, I could go a year and not hear from them, and then should I see him in a public place or see him in a church event or anywhere, would have the nerve to be upset. Where you been? I just figured it out, and would never pick up the phone. You don't want to be in a one-sided friendship, because if it's one-sided in functionality, it's going to be one-sided in the heart. And what I mean by that is this: you are only as necessary as what people show you. You are only as necessary as what people show you. So if you find that you're always the one reaching, always the one talking about let's get some friend time, always the one doing, always the one, you know, what they're communicating to you is you are not as necessary as what you think you are. I think friendship takes investment, and I think friendship takes mutual investment, something you've obviously got to know. I want you to, when you're evaluating your friendship, consider how your friends respond when you articulate your dreams. Consider how they respond when you articulate your dreams. A real friend will respond in discernment. They will respond in counsel. They will respond in sobriety. But if they attack your aspirations, it is a sign that they probably have not been assigned to your life. A friend is going to help you manifest your full potential as a person, as a whatever you are. It's going to help you manifest your full potential. Now, here's what I know. If a person attacks your aspirations, especially as an unaccomplished person or a person not as accomplished as they should be, they're not going to have the energy to encourage you when you are worn out by your aspiration pursuits. So when you are pursuing your dream, your career goals, your money goals, and all of that stuff, and they always have something negative to say, then they're not going to be a good reservoir to pull from when you get worn out by your own pursuit. You know, pursuing purpose, all that stuff is tiresome at times. And so they're not going to be there for you when you opt to do that. So you want to always test it by saying, how do they respond by you sharing your aspirations? The basis of it is going to be your potential. So us getting along, us spending quality time, us communicating is going to in some way or another make me a better person. And I know you have my best interests at heart, so we can even have hard discussions as long as I know that it's what the understanding that I be better, a better me and not a different me for the sake of getting along with you. You're not going to change me to make me suitable for your personal needs, dysfunctions, soul sicknesses, emotional challenges, etc. But what I will do is I'll make adjustments based upon what I feel like is your investment in the relationship. I didn't join you or be married to you to kill me. It's not what I did. So that's very important for you to realize, and it's very important for you to see. Okay. Somebody just called me nigga, and I'm not in the mood, so I'm going to overlook it, because today is the wrong day for that. Yeah. So that's another great basis for friendship. Basis for evaluating your friendship. Here's another thing you want to consider, and I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to get something to eat. Another thing you want to consider about friendships and making friends and all of that stuff is this. Are your friends mad about the fact that we are friends? Now, there have been certain friendships that I have gone up to, not very many, actually just maybe 2 or 3 that I've said, hey, I'm interested in developing a friendship with you. And one worked, one is in the process of working, and the other one was a brutal disaster, so it didn't even really qualify as a full one. However, that's how I began it, you know. But here's a problem that I used to run into. I would befriend people whose friends were angry about the fact that we were friends. They wouldn't own it. They wouldn't meet. They wouldn't be honest about it. They wouldn't own up about it. But here's the challenge with that. Number one, it is immature, relationally, spiritually, in every sense of the word, for you to be mad that somebody else has friends. I have friends who have friends that I'm not friends with. And I'm good with it. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. I mean, what does that do with me? And we can join together and celebrate you. We can join together and be there for you. But me being friends with you does not necessarily mean that I have to befriend the people that you're friends with. Now, a lot of you are like, listen, that thing is more common than what you realize. It's almost like there are people who feel like, I mean, it's a manifestation of control. But believe it or not, I've seen it in people as old as 50 years old. Whole married people. I ain't want my friend. Yeah. It's like, bro, you know, number one, that's typical behavior for girls, and it's even immature then. For a man to do it is an entirely different periscope full of gender confusion, arrested development, baby Huey demons, and a whole other stuff. You don't want to be friends with those who are possessive. You've got to mark possessive friends. That possessiveness will turn into an ungodly infatuation and enamoring. I'm telling you, it's all the way off. You understand me? So you don't want to have possessive friends who are watching you like, oh, you spend time on them and you don't spend time on me. Like, if we're friends, the last thing you're doing is taking notes about how many of my other friends I'm spending time with. Now, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't spend time. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't healthily engage. It means that your focus on our relationship is a bit off if what you're doing is tallying the score on how many times I went to lunch with friend A versus you as friend B. And then when I finally get to you, who is friend C, 90% of our conversation was about my time spent with friend A and friend B. I mean, just too much. Spirit of too much. And for this reason, pastors often are poor friends. That's all I'll say about that. Pastors have a very difficult time. So if you listen to any of the people in my network, I'm on my pastors in my network about their friendships and why they don't have anybody in their lives. But for this cause, a lot of pastors, because you got that mix of ambition, you got that mix of competition, you got that mix of gossip and slander and jealousy and envy, and then you got the big old dress of rejection that makes all of it so worse. I mean, the big cloud of, not the cloud of witnesses, but the cloud of rejection that amplifies the whole thing. You know, so it just makes it worse. But here, don't make the mistake of not assessing and evaluating your friendships regularly to make sure that they need to really be in your life. Evaluate them. I evaluate them very often, very regularly. I evaluate them to definition. I'm not even scared to ask them how they think I'm doing. I will ask, hey, do we look like this is going to happen? Evaluate them. Don't just let it happen. Evaluate them. How you think we doing? Are you getting what you should get out this relationship? Do you feel like it's got my attention? I think you should make that a conversation. Are we good for each other? Are we not good for each other? How are we going? Don't just let it be. Monitor it. Check in on it, because you'll never know how to improve if you don't evaluate it. You know, you weigh yourself on scales at the gym and won't weigh the weight of your friendships. No, measure them jokers. Define them. They're important to you. If they're from God, they're resources going in the, in the direction of your potential and in the direction of your destiny. So evaluate them jokers and be scrutinizing. There are people, oh, he picky. No, I'm just very selective about who I choose to engage in friendship with. And that doesn't make it a clique. It just means I'm not friends with you. That's what it does. They'll accuse you of having, a clique if you just choose not to be friends with them. And it doesn't make it a clique. We're just not friends. And there's nowhere in the Bible that forces me to be friends with you. So that's very important that you realize. I think you should just approach it that way, monitor it that way, and engage it that way. Be selective. So that's what I'm concerned about, our lack of evaluation of friends. And so that's the reason why we try to drag dead ones into new seasons. So this is just some of my thoughts on the subject of friendship. Maybe I need to give you some more, because if you're a Christian, chances are you're not probably doing as well as you should be. And if you're in ministry, you're probably even worse. But do better. Hey, I got a whole Periscope on YouTube with me and John Hanna on the subject of friendship. Go back, watch it. Repost it. We talk about being friends as people in ministry, the benefits of it, the blessings of it, how to do it the right way. Go on YouTube. Me and John Hanna did a whole Periscope on friendship, and it was a huge blessing. Go back, review it. Review this one. I'm going to leave this one up. And let it come out. Hey, listen, real quick announcement. If you are in town this Friday in Chicago, Illinois, I want you to come. I'm celebrating my 12th year church and pastor anniversary Friday and Saturday. I believe it's the 9th and the 10th of July at my church, 7359 South Chappelle in Chicago, and I'm inviting you to be a part. I've got a historic announcement that I'm announcing this week. So come Friday, come Saturday. It's a time of honor. All nations, if you're there, it's mandatory. I'm not playing no games. Get in the house. If you belong to the place of grace, you need to have your tail in a seat this weekend, because it's a time of focus. It's a time of concentration. It's a time of us huddling to hear what God has to say to and for us. And then Sunday, I'm going to be preaching until the fire falls, and we're going to have a great time. So join us here, Pastor LeBryant Friend, Pastor Adrian Davis, myself, this Friday and Saturday at All Nations Worship Assembly, and it's going to be amazing. Hey, replay this, give me some hearts, and let's see what's going on. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.